So without further ado, let me just go and start sharing my desktop. So what we got here is 3 shots, right? So they are basically all shot actually on red camera, but they are shot on different locations and different times, right? So first we have this kind of biker shot, right? Then we have this shot, which is also desert, but it was like a time lapse, and it was shot at a completely different place. I think probably like completely different time as well, right? And then we have another shot, which is again shot in a completely different location, right, where this kind of uh, cowboys are riding, right? And this is really what normally we would get, and we would be told, okay, good, let's go and make it like a one continuous piece. Like this is like a typical example, right? So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go and set my very simple node tree, like so I'm always going to start with an IDT. And for IDT, I'm going to use just a standard color space transform from DaVinci Resolve. And I will say that this is all red, white, gamut. PQ red, white, gamut RGB, and redlock 3 G10. Excellent. So this is it. And I want to work in my absolute favorite Arilog C. This is, the color grading space I like working with. I'm not going to go now into detail why I like it. I always have to defend myself for that. All right. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put a manual, primary, or what I call CDL. This is where I will be doing all the work, all the balancing and everything like that. Then this is how I'm expanding the node. Now I'm putting here an AI node, right? And this is where I will put Colourlab AI. And Colourlab AI, surprise, surprise, by default is using Arilog C as input and Arilog C as output. The only thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to say, hey, instead of full view, give me just Colourlab AI tool. So that way, like my plugin is just a little bit kind of smaller on the display, because I'm not looking at the whole show look part, right? And then I'm going to go here and put a trim node. So basically, that is kind of what the way how I work with Colourlab inside DaVinci is that I have a node in front of AI and node of after the AI node, and depending to the style of work I'm going for, I will be working with one or another or with both at the same time, right? Then I'm going to go and I'm going to put here a showlat node, right? And here I'm going to put a look designer. And then what is really cool now, by the way, guys, is that the look designer from the version 3.1, I just have to tell it, hey, I want you to be Arilog C on input and Arilog C on output. Here we go. So basically, I'm not trying to convert anything. I'm just going to use it for a lot. But what is really new and significant in this version is that when you click here on license, right, you can also license it through a license server. So that means if you have a Colourlab Pro installed, which comes with a license server, right? Then you don't have to enter the serial anymore. Like it just basically knows like, oh, there is a server installed and I'm licensed already. And the moment you connect first time, it connects all the time, right? So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to basically have just one connecting node. And then I'm going to go and open like a 3 parallel nodes. Actually, let me put 4, and these are going to be used for my windows. I like windows to be in parallel. Okay, and then basically I'll have one more node here, and this is in my case right now, I'm going to put it to be an ODT node. Even though normally I would put ODT to be on timeline, but just for us to be able to see, this is all my processing tree. I haven't got anything in pre-group, post-group. I'm just trying to work really simple. Now, one thing I'm going to do for ODT is I won't use color space transform here, right? I don't like DaVinci's conversion to Rec 709. Instead, I'm just going to go into my LUTs. I'm going to go to ARI, and I'm going to go and select ARI Alexa log C to 709 LUT. So this LUT, I love the way it looks. I love the shadow. I love the highlight detail, and it just kind of really, really works well. Like, for me, this is the standard I kind of start usually from, and then I decide which direction I want to go. Do I want to change it and so on? But for me, like, this is always the starting point. A good ODT is always the starting point. I find myself that I have to tweak much less when I do that. And then what I'm going to do now is I'm going to basically just copy these onto the two other nodes. So I have now distributed the node tree on the remaining clips. Okay, actually, before I do that, let me quickly just go here, and I'm going to actually put something here on my timeline node. It's a little trick I like to do sometimes. So here I'm going to put another look designer. Okay, and this look designer, I'm going to say it's inputting 709 and it's outputting 709. So again, I'm not converting anything. I'm just doing this. And the reason why I do this is because that way I can have an Ed Lachman zone. So this way I can then see what is happening very quickly. So I can then go and say, I'm a little bit under here, right? Isn't it? Because I'm like, almost 3 stops down on a biker. That's too low. I really want to focus around here. So I can then just very quickly just go like this and then open in my offset and just quickly make sure that my exposure is approximately around the area of the biker. This is really where I want, audience to focus. And this is probably where, cinematographer would like to expose as well. So now very quickly, I can just go and say, okay, this is now where my exposure levels are. And then I disable Ed Lachman zone and bang, I have a shot already, looking decent. I don't have to actually complicate too much. What's the right exposure? You don't have to go to these linear things and calculate how many stops. You see your stops. This is so easy, right? I'm more visual. I like to work like this. I don't want to be too mathematical about the stops of exposure. I like it to feel like more organic. Okay, now that I did that, I'm going to go now and build a showlet. When I'm building a showlet, I generally always start with print first, okay? So the print stock, and the reason why I start with print, because the print has always had a higher impact of an image, right? Negative certainly has an impact, of course, but your printing process is really defining your look. It's really where your look gets generated, right? And then, choosing any one of these print stock is making like a bigger changes, right? I'm in my case, I kind of am going to settle for this, Kodak Color Vision Print 2383. This is relatively modern, scan. It was done here in Los Angeles, like a few years ago. So I kind of know that this is probably more relevant to what I would get. But what's also significant about the look design, it allows you to separate your contrast curve from your actual color profile. So you think about it like basically like, these contrast curves are usually always embedded, as a part of the printing process. But, for your added benefit, for more creativity, I'm just going to go and select now Kodak 2383, which is actually a contrast curve that is part of this. Okay. So now I'm in this print style. Okay. So the next thing then I'm going to do is I'm going to then go to my negative options, and I'm going to go and select my negative. Okay, so for that, I'll use the negative stock one. This is like the original samples. The Gen 2 was a little bit adapted. And then I'm going to go and I'll be like a little cheeky. I'll just go for agfa. I just know that this agfa looks very nice and saturated, right? I really love it. So you can then just check on it. Look, like without negative, right? And with negative. So I'm very good there. Okay, so now I'm basically good with my showlet. So you see, this is really what my showlet is doing. I love it, right? But I will do one more thing, and I always recommend you guys do that. You go into your post-processing and you enable it, and then you select FPE. FPE. FP stands for film print emulation. What really we do here is we limit our color gamut to actual gamut of the film print. Okay. So again, I know that there is lots of clicks in Look Designer that you have to do, but Look Designer is not like a magic tool, like a filter you put on and gives you a look. It's a tool that allows you to build your look, right? And why we separated the legalization of completely set. Sometimes you maybe want to have a very high saturated looks, with like very wide gamut that are part of your digital cameras. But sometimes you really want your look to emulate the actual film print. And for me, in my case, right now, I want to be more like a print legal. But instead of you just having this print legal on and off, we actually also made it so that you can decide how far you want to go into legal. 0.5 is basically where this is kind of, working. Okay. So now I'm in this area where I'm like, on 0.5. This is your nominal level of for legalization. Okay. So now I'm there. So I got my Sholet working, and I will now go and I will copy everything over. So basically now my shots are basically, in a pretty good state, right? Okay, but exposure needs to be fixed. I can do this manually. So I'll quickly just go and select my Edlachman zones. I'll go now into my CDL, and I'll just use offset, and I decide which part of my image is it that I'm trying to kind of, expose to. So let's say basically like around here, this rock, is basically probably where we are looking at. And you see this rock here is good. What really worries me is that I have some elements of the sky that are +4 stops, but that's okay as long as we're not 6. But that, we got to have a kind of bright sky, right? And then here, what's happening, maybe I'm a little bit too bright, but then you can see, like, you can just basically close it down a little bit, right? And then you go like, okay, this is maybe nicer, like, so I want just horses and horse riders to be grayish, right? A little bit under and everything over. So am I right? And let's see, I'm going to disable it, and bang, actually, that's looking pretty good. So you see, now I'm kind of already like in the ballpark, right? I'm already very, very good. So then what I do is I'm going to go now into my AI, right? And I'm going to say to my AI, hey, listen, I want you to save this look as a reference. So I'll go and say save as reference. Okay. So you see now my biker is a reference. Okay. Then I go on to my next shot, and then I say match, right? So what I'm really trying to do is I'm trying to match the tonality of all of my shots. And you see now how the sky of the biker and the sky of my next shot is matching, how the rocks of the desert and the rocks of this desert are matching. Let me show you before and after. Look at this. You see? Before, before, after. So you see how it nicely gave me the tonality. All it did, it just moved CDL basically for me, right? So that's all it happened. I mean, that's what students in my exercise normally have to do manually. And I hope they're not going to watch this, because I'm not going to accept any assignments that are done with AI at this stage. They have to go and do it manually. I'm sorry, guys. You cannot rely only always on AI. And this shot, for example, right? Look at the difference right now. Look at where the biker sits and where this shot sits. I mean, it's completely different, right? But let me go and do a match. Let's see what's going to do. Brilliant. You see how it now matched my grass tonality with this tonality like this, right? So now I'm actually, in a pretty good ballpark, like I am now like, actually got my sequence balanced. And, now I can go and focus on important stuff. What's really important here for us is to actually continue working a little bit more on this shot. So first thing I will do is I'm going to go onto my windows. And in these windows, I'm going to go and just soften a little bit and give me like this kind of, vignette style. I'll invert it. Let me just check how this vignette looks like. Pretty good. And then I'm just gonna go and close down a little bit, like, just to kind of give it a little kind of little depth, right? We want to emphasize on the kind of open space behind it. Then I will help this biker a little bit come up to life, so I'll do this. And I'm going to open it up just a notch. So perfect. You see, just to kind of give it, like a spot in the middle, because that really helps it a little bit stand out. And then because biker is moving, we're going to track it a little bit. Excellent. And then what I'll do next is also, I will do here a little grad. I think this corner is a little bit too dark, or like it's not too dark, but it just feels like there is a big fall off between here, right, and here. So I'm just gonna go and help it a little bit, and I will go do now like I just open up a little bit, not so much on gamma, maybe a little bit on gain, so that the contrast feels a little nicer. That's better. Okay, so you see now I've got this one fixed. Excellent. The next thing then I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get a grad like this. And then I'm just gonna go and maybe just open up a little bit the sky. Yeah, that's better. Just a little bit, like kind of, open it. And also what I'll do is I'll just kind of warm it a little like this. You see, so I'm just kind of making this a little bit more interesting. Perfect. And then here I'm gonna go and do like like a complete stretch and apply a little softness, a little bit more softness, right? And then I'll kind of position it around here, and then I'll just open this middle part. So what I'm trying to do is I'm just trying to get this shot to kind of come up to life a little bit like that. Excellent. And then I'll do similar in grad on the side like we did before, but now I'm actually going to open it a little bit. And the reason why I'm opening it a little bit is because, when we move from, one to another, you see there is a strong direction of the sun, coming from the right-hand side. So I do want to emphasize a little bit on that. So I'm just going to open this a little bit. So you see, it helps me like a kind of, you see, the perspective is just really adapting. So we have a perspective of the shadow falling in this direction. And then when we move to the next shot, that same perspective continues. It usually helps a little bit, make the match look a little bit better. Here, definitely we want to do a little vignette, why not? Because, it's going to work nice. And let's just go and open it up a little bit softer, invert, right? And we're going to close it down a little. That's great. And then I'm going to go and put the grad on the top. This grad now, I'm going to try to use to match the sky, right? So we have this sky and this sky. So let me go and basically select these two shots together. And then I'm just gonna go and say selected clips. Please, thank you very much. So now I will go and basically open it up a little bit. Let's see. There we go. So you see, I'm kind of now able to kind of just give that sky control just a little bit like that, a little bit desaturated, because, and maybe I want to go and see whether if I move it a little bit into teal direction that I get this kind of no, greenish little bit, you see? So I'm just trying to make the sky, feel similar, to there we go. So now like I'm not completely off in terms of the sky texture, a little bit desaturated again, just a little more like this, because that's the kind of the quality that I have there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm definitely going to help these cowboys, the riders, right? So let's switch off the split screen. Okay, like show me the power window, a lot of softness here. Okay, and then I'm gonna go and just open it up here, like a little bit like this. And then I need to be careful not to be visible, so maybe I need to increase my softness. I really like it when it's just a little spot, usually like, that helps drive, the attention of the viewer in that direction, so the viewer kind of is looking, in that direction like that. Perfect. And then what I'm going to do here is another trick, you use sometimes, like again, to help like a little bit, the perspective, because we have this kind of wide, perspective. What we'll do is, and we're just going to rotate now our grad. Okay, and then we will basically just darken a little bit, the bottom part here. So you see, when I have a darker part in the back, and then I have a horizon there, it helps, kind of that open wide view, because the grad again it kind of helps the eye perceive the depth, right? So now I'm pretty good, actually. Let's see how these three shots look like. They should be like now in some sort of, yeah, they're much better now. You see, they work pretty good. The only thing I'm going to do now is I'm going to go back into my primary here. And this is, I mean, like, why I have, for example, trim, and I'll just increase overall saturation, because now that I reduce the saturation of the sky, I feel that my core shot just needs a little bit more punch. And there we go. So now we're good. And that is now in a pretty good, I like it. The only thing I'm going to do next is I'm going to go here. I'm going to go and select Grain Lab now. And I'll try to be very subtle here. I don't want it to be like some sort of grain that's going to make it look like, 70s movie. That's not really what we're trying to do here, right? And what I do normally is I really zoom into my image. I have to tell it that I'm working in Rec 709 because this is really like, I'm putting it all the way at the end post ODT, right? I definitely want to then work oversampled, because oversampled grain has much less texture appearance, so that's really, like how I like it in this case. We leave it 35 and we leave it ultra fine. And I'm also going to just remove a little bit of that kind of low kind of blotches. I just really want it to feel a little bit like, nicer like that. And I'm going to add, no, not a weaver, but flicker. I like a little flicker just there. And then let's have a look now. I'm going to go into, I don't know whether it shows full screen, but let's have a look. So now basically with a little texture, maybe it's too much actually. When I look at the texture, I feel it's too much. So that's not a problem. You just go here to mask the control and you just remove, the intensity of your grain. So I love the amount of texture and everything I have. Ultra fine 35 looks pretty good, but I just reduced it a little bit. So for me, like really the grain, if you look at it, it's here. It's if you see like now my waveform monitor, right? So it just helps me like create this it makes image feel a little bit richer, right? You don't want it to look grainy, but you just want to have some texture. And especially look, what it really helps is if you look at the vectorscope, see, look at it, this is without grain. Look at it, this is without grain. And because Grain Lab works in color, it adds like this extra additional color element that just smoothens a little bit, and kills a little bit this digital kind of red, you know, feel, right? Adds a little more softness to it and stuff like this. I'm not really now going like anywhere near to what normally I could do with FilmLab AI, but just applying little texture and a little flicker just makes everything start feeling a little bit more alive, a little bit more organic, which is really what we like. So there we go. So you see what I was able to do in like how many minutes of time, right? I don't know, not a lot, right? I was able to focus more time on my secondaries. I dedicated more time to my detail. I actually, was able to tweak a little bit more my texture. Instead, if I have done it manually without AI, I would have certainly still be manually matching, by eye, my shots, and probably wouldn't be as good as this, depending, how much experience you got with matching, certainly. And even sometimes, myself, I've been, manually matching for 20 years, but if I have a bad day, sometimes my matches are not always best, right? Let me tell you this. If I have a little bit like, if I'm a little moody or whatever, sometimes I find myself to be a little sloppy on matching as well. So right now I kind of go like, you know what? I actually feel like confident that no matter what, I'll get the job done, and actually I'll get it like more details done. I'm going to get it graded. I get it graded. It's not like I'm just trying to finish it and technically be ready for it. No, I actually really made a beautiful image out of this with a show lot, you know, and that's actually everything without like hundreds of nodes. If you think about it, really the work is done, just simply by being very smart about color management, by being very smart about using the right tool for show lot, and using AI for matching. And it just makes me more efficient, I think, more efficient in how quickly I can go and create good image. So yeah, so that's basically the kind of overall what I wanted to show you today. It's the change that AI is hopefully going to bring you to your workflow. and I'm going to now go open to you guys for some questions. What are the presets in GrainLab doing? Oh, interesting. So in GrainLab, we have supplied you with some presets, okay? So basically, like, let me explain you how they work. So B stands for both. That means negative and print, okay? N is only negative grain, and P is only print grain. Okay, so the first letter is describing whether it's a blend between the two grain, yeah, B blend, P print, and negative, right? The number after that, it shows you what is the overall intensity of the grain. So let's say, for example, like a B6, right, is always going to be more intense, right? You see how it has a more texture than, let's say, B2. Like B2 has got much less texture. So you're basically, the number afterwards is going to be a descriptor to how strong your grain is going to be. Okay. So this is the trick with the presets. Then basically you have the following two numbers. 88 is basically stands to how much grain is visible in a shadow and how much in the highlight, basically, right? So when you say 88, it means okay, so it's equally strong in both, right? But for example, 99 means, okay, it's maximum in both. But 68, for example, tells you, well, it's a little bit less in a shadow. Like, so it kind of has this little fall off, right? The T stands for whether you are using any flicker or any gate weave. So this is the T number at the end. And then basically the letter after that, and the last number is describing the overall intensity of the whole kind of the blend of the grain, right? So basically, this is like a little bit description. I am going to supply you with a PDF that explains those numbers as well. So you're going to be able to basically that. Any particular reason why you're back using Arilog C? No particular reason at all, actually, but because I am now showing Colourlab Colourlab AI Pro, and JPlog is only available in the FilmLab AI, or what Color Pro used to be called, right? We literally just renamed it. We're releasing it, this weekend as a FilmLab AI. I didn't want to complicate with that, so this is why I'm kind of just using Arilog C right now. But normally, if I would to go to my kind of high-end level of film emulation, I would be doing all of the film emulation in JPlog too, using those plugins, right? Then Raphael said, "Can you export to HDR?" Absolutely, absolutely. There is no problem. So all I have to do is this. Look, I go now to my basically ODT right here. I'm just going to create a new version so that I don't overwrite it. This is probably would be better if I had put ODT on the timeline level, because I would have to change only one node, right? So look, what I do is this. I go right mouse click, then I go LUT, then I go to Ari. And what I did is I went to Ari's website and I downloaded all the Ari's, LUTs. And there is a one option here which says Arilog C3, which is what I'm using, to Arilog C3. Oh, there should be one, two. Oh, wait. Where is my HDR? Oh, it's not here. I didn't download the ST 2084. This is hybrid log gamma only. No, gamma. Okay, no, sorry. Then I have to do this. I have to reset it. I have to then say, give me my look designer. And I would say to look designer, you be my ODT. And then instead of Rec 709, I'm going to say basically, I have this Netflix setting, which is called HDR Netflix P3D65 PQ. I click on that and bang, I have converted my grade. And because everything's done in scene, everything works now perfectly, it translates. And the look design is really good in preserving your overall, intent to what you want to do. I would also recommend that you also do this ODT post your grain, right? Not that it was just me to demonstrate, how to do it, how you do it. But normally you would do grain first, then ODT, and then you would then put change an ODT to HDR or not. Okay. Then another question was, if you have a show lot from the shooting, can I use your workflow and how? Yes, of course you can. You if you have a showlet from shooting, probably that showlet would be working as a Rec 709. So what you would want to do is you put it here. You put it just as your ODT, or you put it on your timeline level, right? So instead of having your ODT, you put your showlet, right? And then, it's always just important that your AI node always is grading in a log space, right? So you are not basically putting in, you don't put showlet and then the AI node. You always basically do first your log material, you grade, and then you put your showlet afterwards. So that's the order is important, right? So just replace this here with your showlet. Next question, and can you use Dolby Vision? Of course, there is no, listen, the AI engine, all it's doing is just moving left gamma gain for you. So nothing's changed. There's nothing that you can or can't do, right? I could just switch now to HDR, turn the Dolby Vision, and it's working, Absolutely. Absolutely, Raphael. No problem at all. Ivo says, can you save the final graded bike shot, save it as a reference, and AI match two shots? Yes, of course. Of course. So that's what I did, But you see, Ivo, what's very important. Look, because my node, AI node, is not doing the final grade, right? My node is sitting after my CDL, okay? That's where I'm saving it from. So what I did, I'm not sure if you saw it, I basically just used this as a reference, right? I just used this as a reference. So my advice is not to necessarily wait until you graded everything and apply the showlet. No, build your showlet as a part of the processing pipeline. Put your AI node in front of the showlet and let the showlet do its job on every other node. Your CDL will do the match, and the showlet's just perfectly going to fit, right? So don't try to match post showlet, right? That's not really, a really good way how to do it, because you're killing kind of all the detail that showlet's giving you, right? And that's not what you want to do. You want showlet to give you all of that beautiful adjustment that it really does to an image, because you think about it, matching is only CDL, right? So you want to always use CDL in front of the showlet, right? I hope that kind of makes sense. Joy says, what is the difference between Colab AI 3 Creator? I own the license in Colab AI 3. I'm currently using beta. Will there be an upgrade? Very good question, Joey. So the difference is that in Pro, you get this plugin, you get Look Designer and Grain Lab included. So you get 3 extra plugins included, as well as the desktop application, which is what you have at the moment. Okay, so you get the desktop application, and in addition, you get 3 plugins: Colab AI plugin, Look Designer plugin, and Grain Lab plugin. That's the main difference. And yes, so from tomorrow, you will be able to go into your account, and then you say my subscriptions, and there is a button there that says upgrade, downgrade. You will be able to click on it, and you just basically switch to Pro if you want to. And if you are beta, you will get a discount code, so you'll be able to get it at a discounted rate. So you will be able just to upgrade it, to Pro, and suddenly, you get a new license, and you download, your beta, or you actually have already beta, so you just basically continue working it, and you just basically upgraded your creator to Pro, and you got all this extra stuff. Can you please clarify which package or packages are necessary to imitate this? You only need Colourlab AI 3 Pro, only one package. This is all I'm using here is Colourlab AI 3 Pro. This is all I'm using. And it's gonna cost basically $495 a year, and we're gonna have a discount for beta users. So that's 25% for all the beta users. So basically, this is all there is. Will all new Colab AI versions be Intel supported? Yes, they are. We have Intel release now. It took a little longer, but now we have it supported. Okay, it's not just supported on Intel. It's supported on Linux. It is supported in Nuke, both Mac, Windows, Linux. It is supported in Baselight, and it is supported in Baselight as Linux. And we work on Mac as well, just for testing. But yeah, so Baselight, Nuke, and DaVinci, they're supported. There is a Flame and Adobe Premiere support coming, and then it's going to be Final Cut coming as well. So it will be supported on all of those. Hi, Dado. Test drivers from October 23 will have a pro version. The test drivers from 23 will have to make a contribution. So basically, like if you just put test driver and you never submitted any bugs reports and you never did anything like that, well, as far as we're concerned, you need to be a test driver really to do that. So I'm sending an email to all the test drivers, we call it factory drivers. And what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to fill out the form where you're basically giving us feedback. The reason why we give you software cheaper and we give you factory driver is because we need your feedback. We need you to tell us, I like this, I don't like this, improve this, don't improve this. We need that. That's how we develop software. So if you just downloaded this software, says, oh, there was a great way for me to get a discount, and you never really responded or you never really said anything to us, then sorry, Matt, we're not going to really be able to do this anymore. And this is, by the way, with every beta software, you need to be active as a beta user. You need to submit some feedback. So what we will do, we'll send everybody, all the factory drivers, an email, say, hey guys, fair enough, maybe you forgot about us, you didn't submit any source or anything like that. Here is a form, please fill it out and also give us your review. And once you do that, then you'll be entitled to continue as a factory driver, and then you can get this license as a factory driver. Yes, but not automatically. It's not like just, hey, I should get it, I'm entitled to it. No, you're not. If you haven't really helped us and improve the software, there is really not real benefit to us in having just a factory driver that is really not giving us any feedback. And I hope you guys understand it. That's very easy to understand. Didn't get sorry if Colab for Windows, of course, for Windows and for Linux. Oleg, another question: does Colab support macOS Monterey? No, I don't know if Monterey. What's more version is Monterey? You have to be working on macOS 13 plus, and that's not my limitation. That's Apple. That's Apple. Apple has made it very firmly that no core ML, no neural networks will run on computers that are anything less than macOS 13. I didn't limit it. We used to be able to run it on macOS 12, and then they basically said no more. And so I'm afraid, but it's a really good operating system. I don't know why wouldn't you update to macOS 13? It's actually a great operating system, right? Okay, great. Thank the Iover. If you submitted, then you should be absolutely all good. When is the Tin Man going to be integrated? We're actually just testing it now. We have about 10 users that are just testing it at the moment. So I really hope it's out in the next week or two. Yeah. So I mean it is there. We have now just a little bit tweaks for Mac. Windows is working very, very good. We're just tweaking a little bit Mac version, and yeah, it's there. But Justinian, if you really want it, if you say I can't wait, for it to get out of beta, just ping us, and then we'll give you access to beta now, and you can start testing it. Yeah. Excellent. Next, another question: is this only way to make red footage look like filming because red comes in hot? It's not the only way. For sure, McNeil. but it's a very good way. I mean, I can tell you, this is an excellent way how to make red look good, right? Yeah, yeah. I love the question. I love the question. It's super easy. I'm sure you get it. Look at me, guys. I actually did this with like 2 3 nodes, right? So yeah, so it's actually really really good. So yeah, so thank you, Louis, for sharing it. Yeah, and then okay, if you have a creator, what's going to happen, Raphael? We're literally just putting changes to our website. You will get an email tomorrow or latest Monday, and it will tell you, hey, the pro is available now, and there will be instructions where you need to click in order to be able to upgrade. So you just switch basically your current subscription, and you switch it to a pro. You don't That's all you need to do. And also there will be a trial as well. If you feel like, no, I don't know if I want to buy it now, maybe I want to just trial it first, you can go and download 30-day trial first and play with it. Yeah. Sonny says, hey Dado, I'm not able to successfully activate the pro to use it in the result. Do I have a creator license? So email support and sorry. So Sonny, that's probably the case. Yeah. If you're not able to activate it. So what's important is you need to have there is a specific version 3 pro license. This is the only license that works because we had to change the licensing. And if you don't have the pro license, it's not going to work. So I will Sonny send you a trial now if you want to start straight away, and then you will get again option to be able to upgrade or cross grade. But if you have like a version 2 pro, there's no charge, it's free. And if you have what we used to call a studio license, the studio license is now going to be renamed to pro. So what we used to used to have a pro and studio licenses. They now merged. They're now one, basically. So the basically studio people, always had all these plugins and pro, so they will continue to have it. And pro people now need to upgrade, and they have to pay $10 more to get all the plugins as well. So it's basically just, we simplify a little bit. There was too many options, so we just made it a little bit simpler. Yeah, no problem. It doesn't matter if it's not a perpetual. If you need a perpetual license, you will be able to buy perpetual license from B&H in New York. They will be selling perpetual licenses. Yeah, so basically, if you guys were not able to activate your pro, that means probably you didn't have the right license. But if you had a license and you were not able to activate, then I'm going to make a little video. Actually, Louis is gonna. Yesterday was making a video, so hopefully next week you'll be able to see the video from him where he explains like exactly step-by-step process to what you need to do to ensure that you are really using the right license. And then once you use the right license and your server is active, like what you want to do is here, like when you go here and you say open CLI server configuration, right? Like here, this should be without a red message that you don't have a license. If you have a red message here, that means you don't have a license. And that means that your license that you entered was not the correct license, right? Oh, look at Luis. Very good. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Well done. Well done, Luis. Well done. Excellent. Thank you. So this is a link. Please save it. We'll email that link actually to everybody as well. So, and Luis, please post it in a Discord as well. Okay, guys. So hope you like this. I hope it inspired you a little bit, to how you can benefit from this wonderful new technology. And basically, I am looking forward to seeing what you're going to create with it. Really, I can't wait. To see amazing work. We also opened a channel in Discord where you can share your work, show us your amazing looks you're creating as well. And we're going to actually award the best people we'll do some voting, and we choose always who did the best, look every month, and we will be giving away full licenses for that as well. So yeah, so hopefully, we all start enjoying color grading again. I used to call it falling in love again, right? it's just it just gets a little bit easier. Excellent, Firat. Firat, that's great. That's great to hear, Firat. Thank you so much. And I'm also looking forward to seeing it like that. Guys, have a great day. Everybody enjoy, and I'm looking forward to seeing you on the next live stream. And keep an eye on your inbox. We will be emailing announcement that now the Pro is available publicly, how you can get access to it, upgrade, downgrade, cross grade, whatever you need to do. Have a great time, everybody. Speak to you soon. Cheers. Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye. Thank you. Bye. 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 Bye.